customers, they've gotten way over 50% resolution rates with an AI agent automatically resolving these kinds of issues. AI agent running on the employee's desktop realizes that the person is trying to access Figma, automatically figures out whether the person has the rights and permissions to be able to do so.
Correct.
And automatically provisions it in the background, right?
Right, yeah.
This kinds of ticketless help. Automating out customer service workflows, IT help desk workflows, creative workflows, marketing-oriented tasks, HR-oriented tasks. These are areas in which they're very process-heavy. There's a set of steps that need to get done for approvals and reviews and so on. Those kinds of things tend to get fairly well automated away. But when a task requires multiple agents to collaborate, how do you test the entire workflow and make sure that they're all coordinating and doing what we want them to do collectively?
Hi, this is Vaibhavi. We are here at Team on Tour Bengaluru by Atlassian. I'm joined here today by Shamik Sharma, who's the head of product. He's going to be sharing some insights about the company. Hi, Shamik. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me, Vaibhavi.
I just want to understand a little bit about the company and where you see AI sort of taking into the service management space. And since you lead the service management suite for Atlassian, I was wondering if you could walk me through some of the processes that are in place for this. Where do you see AI driving the most productivity gains, and where do you think there has been a little bit less attention, and where are the unrealized gains as of now in the industry?
I lead what we call the service collection business at Atlassian. Service collection represents many aspects. It's intended to give great experiences to both employees, internal employees, as well as to external customers. And we have two apps that kind of satisfy these requirements. The Jira Service Management app is aimed at giving great experiences for employees, and the Customer Service Management app is meant for giving great experiences for customers, right? And what has been happening with AI is been that a lot of attention and progress has been made over the last couple of years in providing a lot of automation to employee help desks and to customer support help desks.
Right.
So when people come in with issues, whether it's employee or customers, a ticket is created, and then there are lots of AI tools that have now come about to answering those questions automatically, whether by looking up knowledge bases or past tickets or parsing the query intelligently and so on.
Sure.
If you look at some of our customers, they've gotten way over 50% resolution rates with an AI agent automatically resolving these kinds of issues.
Right.
Places that have got less attention in my mind are things that are in the IT operations and IT asset management areas. So IT teams are also handling a lot of software, whether third party or in-house, and incident management, change management. When problems happen with the software that you're running, managing those incidents and changes that are happening inside the organization, AI can play a big role there as well. That I feel is still picking up. It's still early. And the same thing with asset management. IT teams also manage a lot of laptops and projectors and facilities and so on.
Right.
Using AI to manage the whole workflow of how you manage the life cycle of these assets, that is another area where AI has just started to penetrate. There's still a lot of work to be done.
Right. There's a lot of attention on AI that is being used by the IT companies, especially now. And I think in asset management, like you said, is also going to be the next focus area for them as well.
Absolutely.
So you have also led a lot of product engineering teams as well in your career so far. And I'm thinking as automation is expanding and it's leading to, it's penetrating different teams. How do you think leaders of these teams have to rethink how service is going to be defined and how service is going to be taken forward?
Yeah. See, whenever any new technology like AI or before this, the internet or cloud came about, people first start using the technology to automate things they already know.
Right. Yeah.
And the same thing is obviously happening with AI as well. We take our existing workflows and we start putting AI to automate the parts of it that are the most easy to do.
Correct.
But as we start understanding the power of the technology more and more, we start rethinking whether those workflows are the right ones in the first place, right?
Right.
So, for example, with your employee help desk, often what happens is that you're trying to access a particular software that you need for your work. Let's say it's Figma,
Mm-hmm.
and then you find that you don't have access, and then you raise a ticket, and then somebody from IT department actually provisions that software for you, and you get the ticket. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
And what AI has started to do is that when that ticket comes in, then we can automate that provisioning of that Figma license for that user. But you can also think of a future where actually a ticket never needs to get created, right? An AI
Right.
agent running on the employee's desktop realizes that the person is trying to access Figma, automatically figures out whether the person has the rights and permissions to be able to do so,
Correct.
and automatically provisions it in the background, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
this kinds of ticketless help, right? Silently solving problems without involving anyone, right?
Right. Yeah.
That I think is the future, not just in employee help desk and not only in customer support, but even in operations and asset management. I think that kind of proactive resolution of issues, even before they rise to the threshold of, oh, it's I'm getting blocked.
Right. Yeah.
That I think is the real future that we should strive for.
Do you think there's a lot of productivity gains also to be had from something like that?
Absolutely, right? Just, what happens is that when you're doing some work and then some blocker happens, your whole flow gets lost. It's not just that that ticket took a little while to get resolved.
Sure.
It's that you lost your flow, and the context switching costs of that in an organization, when you multiply it with the number of employees and the number of little blockers like this that happen every day,
Right.
the productivity loss of the collective organization is so huge that I think that is the real problem to solve, not how do we speed up the resolution of tickets once they're created.
Right. I'm glad that you mentioned blocker because I was thinking that now, especially with AI, there's heightened requirements for security within the companies as well. Everybody knows that their data, while it's helping them move forward their projects and move forward their products, there's also a lot of vulnerability that is in the picture now. So how do you think security is something that can be used as a productivity tool and take their motions forward rather than become a blocker in the process, like you said?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, this is what often people kind of miss when they're thinking about, hey, I'm able to do so many things with AI and ChatGPT and Gemini and so
Yeah.
on in my consumer life. Why am I not able to do those same things in the work life, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And the reason for that is that actual enterprise and organizations have a lot more security requirements than you might have in your consumer world.
Right.
So I think we have to be always very cognizant of what we are building in order to enhance productivity, because if that productivity enhancing tool is impinging on the security requirements of the enterprise, then it's actually of no use, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So security is not something that's an afterthought in enterprise. It has to be built with that in mind. First, you have to get your security systems right,
Right.
and then you can think of what productivity that will enable. Having said that, there is so many things that you get blocked on today for because of security restrictions that just requires you to unnecessarily collaborate with somebody or ask somebody whether you have the permissions to do it or not.
Right.
And if you don't have permissions, then it's another workflow to get the right permissions, right?
Correct. Yeah.
A lot of that determination of knowing if I have the right permissions or not, and then if I don't, should I be able to have those permissions or not, is self-automatable, right?
Correct. Yeah.
It's the policies of the permissions and the security policies of organizations tend to be relatively well organized, unlike many other information that's actually not.
Right.
So it's actually a problem where we can solve it better than we do today without requiring a lot of back and forths that happen today. So AI can even be applied to make the security problem better, right?
Right.
So, and I think that we will over the next year or two start seeing that in our work life, where yes, there will be severe security constraints that will always be important, but how we can traverse those security constraints will get a lot better.
Okay, understood. Now, getting back to the bigger picture a little bit, from your vantage point, what do you think are some of the bigger maturity gaps in AI that we are still seeing, and what kind of movement do you think is going to happen around those in the near future?
Yeah, I think that I'll take that problem in two fronts, right? One of them is, what do the vendors that are building AI systems need to improve on? Because
Sure.
there's still a lot of work to be done. We are still in the early days of AI platforms and so on. And the other is, how are the organizations that are consuming this AI systems and platforms, the customers, what do they need to do to ready themselves for this new world?
Right.
So on the first side, obviously, all our AI tools and systems are getting better. We now have good agent building tools. We have ways in which we can make those agents take actions. We're also starting to build out, but still early days, for tools to test, administer, and secure these agents, right?
Right.
So this is still an emerging world. It's getting better, but I think we are about, still on the relatively early side of that journey, right? So all of these systems are maturing. On the consumer and the customer side of things, customers need to organize their knowledge better and define the access controls and the permission boundaries around them much better.
Right.
So, for example, many companies don't have good knowledge bases, right? Or they might have documents in Google Drive, but they're not well organized, and the access controls on them may be haphazard.
Correct. Yeah.
If all your documents are secured too tightly, then AI will never be able to get access to it.
Right.
Similarly, if it's too loose, then you might be leaking information that you don't want to leak out. Right?
Correct. Yeah.
So getting the right
balance,
knowledge base, and the right balance in terms of who should have access to what, getting that right is very important.
Right.
And the other thing is to be able to understand what are the key workflows in your company, right? Many times work just happens just because the people there just know how to work with other people, but it's never been formalized and structured, right?
Yeah.
The more structure you can bring into your workflows and processes, the more able you will be to actually make that automatable.
Correct. And in terms of automation, do you think that is something that is going to be slow to pick up in the next couple of years, or do you think that's something that has already taken up pace?
I think it depends on the maturity of the customers, but I see that it's taking up very, very rapidly, right?
Yeah.
At least the tech forward organizations, they tend to be, we see some customers that are having huge success in automating out customer service workflows, IT help desk workflows, in creative workflows, marketing oriented tasks, HR oriented tasks. These are areas in which they're very process heavy. There's a set of steps that need to get done for approvals and reviews and so on.
Correct.
Those kinds of things tend to get fairly well automated away.
Are there any specific sectors that are more partial to adopting automation faster, or is it the same across the board, do you think?
No, I do think that there are differences. Areas that are more tech forward, right? Software development is obviously an area where the SDLC process is getting highly automated, right? So is IT, because these tend to be relatively comfortable with new tech. HR is also actually quite amenable, because a lot of that work tends to be a lot of process orientation, right? So there also we are seeing a lot.
Yeah.
And the same thing with a lot of marketing nowadays, right? Marketing creative briefs and creating those creative workflows, there also we are seeing a lot of automation. Other areas, I think finance, legal, and so on will need a lot more security uptake and understanding of how that secure boundaries are created between teams.
Right.
But parts of even those workflows are getting highly automated.
Understood. Now, in terms of AI itself, there's been a lot of trends since it became major technology in 2022, when it became like a breakout technology for everybody to pick up, whether it was generative AI or agentic flows as well. In the next 3 to 5 years, let's look ahead a little bit. What do you think are going to be some of the emerging trends that are going to come about, especially in enterprise productivity, maybe in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah. So there's, I think, a lot of things that will still come out, right? One of them, as I mentioned, is better testing and administering of AI agents.
Right.
I need to be able to know what agents are succeeding and doing better, what agents are not doing as well. So it's almost like we have performance management in humans. We need to have similar AI controls for agents and similar testing mechanisms for agents. So that is, I think, one big area.
Correct.
The second big area, I think, is multi-agent coordination. We're very good at creating a single agent and making sure that it can do what we want it to do. But when a task requires multiple agents to collaborate, how do you test the entire workflow and make sure that they're all coordinating and doing what we want them to do collectively?
Correct, yeah.
That collective agent coordination is still, there's still a lot of work to be done. And I think a lot of progress is being made.
Mm-hmm.
And a third area that I think is still a little bit further away is how do you have AI working when the memory of a particular organization is not supposed to be one global memory, but we can create partitions of that. And this is important when there are different business units, different subsidiaries
Correct.
in a company,
Mm-hmm.
which have informational boundaries, right?
Right, yeah.
And they need to adhere to these Chinese walls for regulatory and compliance reasons. They are not supposed to talk to each other too much.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do agents work across these kinds of thresholds and gates and fences inside your organizational memory? That I think is an important one. A good example is consulting companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
A consulting company like an Accenture or McKinsey might be working with two companies that are competitors, right?
Yeah.
And the teams that are working on one should not actually have access to the
data of the
information
other.
that they're working with the
Yeah.
competitor, right?
Yeah.
So how do you make these walls and make sure that if I want to say, hey, create a research review of this particular area, it doesn't use information from the other side, right?
Right.
So those kinds of walls and the appropriate boundaries, we still need to make sure how we design those systems for that.
Understood. Great. Thanks, Shamik. That was very, very insightful. Thanks for taking out the time to speak with us. And hopefully we'll see more AI trends emerging and something that Atlassian can also pick up and maybe show us how to do it.
I'm sure we will.
Great. Thanks a lot.